It's very frustrating how long I have to wait for everything.
The moment you see Steven Assanti, you can't forget him. Over 700 pounds, taking up more than just space with his body, but with a personality that could fill a room. His time on My 600 Pounds Life wasn't just about weight loss, it was pure chaos. Explosive fights with his family, dramatic hospital meltdowns, late-night food binges, drug abuse, and a father who couldn't say no. But was Steven truly the victim of a broken childhood, or the master manipulator of his own downfall?
How old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
So it's time for you to grow up. It seems like this nurse is getting agitated with your behavior. I don't know what particularly is, but you need to work on that.
But to truly understand how Steven became one of reality TV's most infamous names, we have to go back before the cameras, before the hospital drama, to a childhood filled with chaos, neglect, and a dangerous relationship with food that would shape the rest of his life. The making of a food villain. From the very start, Steven and Justin Assanti's lives were shaped by chaos. Their childhood was far from the picture of a happy family. Their parents split when they were still young, leaving them stuck in the middle of tension and broken promises. Their mother, battling alcoholism, was often lost in her own struggles, leaving the boys to fend for themselves. Meals were irregular, attention was scarce, and the home never felt truly safe. At first, Steven and Justin leaned on each other. They were brothers against the world, or at least that's how it seemed. But bonds built in pain don't always grow stronger. Over time, small arguments turned into bigger fights, and resentment began to take root. And then came food. For many kids, food is just a part of life. For Steven, it became an escape. Every bite was a shield from loneliness, every meal a way to block out the noise at home. But how long can food really hide the pain? Their father, Steve Sr., entered the picture with his own way of helping. He wasn't abusive, but he was an enabler. Instead of setting limits, he gave in. Hungry? Let's order pizza. Sad? Here's some ice cream. At first, it felt like love, but was it actually the start of something much worse? By the time Steven was a teenager, the signs were clear. His weight wasn't just creeping up, it was climbing fast. And with it came something else, a craving for attention. Steven discovered the internet, and with it a new way to fill the emptiness. He started making shocking online videos, pulling outrageous stunts that got people talking. One of his most infamous appearances was on a YouTube show called House of Hatred, where he showed a side of himself that many found disturbing, arrogant, manipulative, and hungry for the spotlight. Looking back, it's easy to see the pieces falling into place. The broken family, the constant neglect. The father who thought comfort food could replace emotional support. And a boy who learned that if he couldn't get love, he'd settle for attention, even if it was for all the wrong reasons. But the question is, was Steven born to cause trouble, or did a broken home set him on this path from the start? And if food became his escape early on, what happens when that escape becomes his entire identity? Fame, food, and the art of manipulation. When Steven Assanti first appeared on My 600 Pounds Life, it wasn't just his size that grabbed attention, it was his personality. Viewers expected a man desperate to change his life, but instead they met someone who seemed to fight against every bit of help he was offered. From the start, Dr. Nozoradan, or Dr. Now as fans know him, laid out a clear plan. Eat less, move more, follow the program. But Steven had other ideas. Excuses flowed faster than progress. One day it was, my body just doesn't burn calories. The next it was, this diet is making me sick. And when excuses didn't work, he switched to full-blown temper tantrums, yelling, slamming doors, and storming out of appointments. Things took a darker turn after Steven had his gallbladder removed. The surgery came with pain, but instead of managing it responsibly, Steven developed an addiction to pain medication. Soon he wasn't just visiting one hospital, he was hopping from hospital to hospital, spinning dramatic stories to get more prescriptions. It wasn't healing, it was hustling. And then there was Steve Sr., the father who just couldn't say no. Every time Steven demanded food, fast food, fried food, extra large portions, his dad gave in. Why? Just to keep the peace, he'd say. But was it really peace or just avoiding another meltdown? Meanwhile, Justin was fighting his own battle. Unlike his brother, he actually wanted to lose weight. He worked hard, followed the plan, and tried to picture a future where he could live without the constant strain on his body. But living with Steven was like running a marathon while someone else kept throwing bricks in your path. The verbal abuse, the manipulation, the endless drama, it was exhausting. At one point, Justin even admitted that being around Steven felt toxic. His brother wasn't just hurting himself, he was dragging everyone else down with him. Which makes you wonder, is enabling ever truly love, or is it just a slower, quieter way of causing harm? Steven's time on the show made him a household name, but not in the way most people dream of. His stubbornness, his schemes, and his appetite for both food and attention turned him into one of the show's most controversial figures. Some viewers felt sorry for him. Others saw through the act and called him out for what he was, a master manipulator who refused to take responsibility. But one thing was certain. Fame didn't make Steven better. It just gave him a bigger stage. And the more people watched, the more he seemed to perform. The real question was that did TV exposure push Steven toward redemption, or just gave him a bigger audience for the chaos he was already creating? And how far would he go to keep the cameras and everyone else under his control? Dr. Now's breaking point. From the very start, Dr. Now had been patient with Steven. He gave advice, laid out the plan, and warned him about the risks. But patience has a limit, and Steven was determined to test it. Dr. Now's approach was always the same. No sugarcoating, no fake comfort. He told Steven the blunt truth, that if he didn't change, he would die. At first, it seemed like Steven was listening. He had a few hospital stays where he dropped some weight. For a moment, there was hope. But hope doesn't last when old habits refuse to die. Every time Steven went home, the binges returned. Mountains of fast food, endless snacks, soda by the gallon. And when that wasn't enough, he found comfort in something even more dangerous: painkillers. His manipulative side came out stronger than ever, faking symptoms and pushing staff for stronger prescriptions. The hospital staff knew the game. The fake groans, the overacted pain, the sudden emergencies that always ended with Steven getting exactly what he wanted. But Dr. Now had seen it all before, and this time he wasn't buying it. Meanwhile, Justin's life was moving in the opposite direction. He went through weight loss surgery, worked on his diet, and started building his own independence. He even opened his own store, something Steven mocked, but deep down, probably envied. The contrast between the brothers was painful to watch. One was climbing out of the hole, step by step. The other was digging deeper, smiling while he did it. So how far should a doctor go before deciding enough is enough? Is there a point where trying to save someone is actually just helping them destroy themselves? Life after the spotlight. After leaving Dr. Now's program, Steven decided to start over in Iowa. On paper, it sounded like a fresh beginning. New place, new people, and maybe, just maybe, a new version of himself. Soon after, he married a woman named Stephanie. For a moment, it seemed like this could be the turning point everyone had been waiting for. But marriage didn't magically fix the problems that had been building for years. Steven's health kept getting worse. His weight stayed dangerously high, and his physical condition made even small tasks exhausting. More worrying was his mental state. The same mood swings, the same outbursts, and the same patterns of manipulation he had shown on the show. Reports from people around him painted a sad picture. Steven wasn't taking care of himself. He was still making excuses, still expecting others to carry his burden, and still using guilt and charm to get what he wanted. Old habits, it seemed, had followed him to Iowa. Meanwhile, Justin's life continued on a much brighter path. He was running his store, staying healthy, and building his own life. But his relationship with Steven remained distant. The years of chaos, arguments, and emotional exhaustion had left scars. Justin wasn't cruel. He just knew that being too close to Steven would pull him back into a cycle he had fought hard to escape. It's hard to ignore the contrast. One brother took his second chance and turned it into a life he could be proud of. The other kept throwing away every opportunity, one bad decision at a time. And that brings up a question. If someone refuses to change, can anyone truly save them? Or do they have to reach a breaking point on their own before real change can happen? Steven's journey is frustrating because it didn't have to end this way. Dr. Now gave him the tools. His family gave him support. Even after the cameras stopped rolling, he had people willing to help. But help doesn't work if the person on the other side won't take it. Some fans see Steven as a cautionary tale, a reminder that no matter how much someone else wants you to succeed, it's meaningless unless you want it too. Others feel sympathy, seeing a man trapped in his own addictions and mental struggles, unable to climb out. What's certain is that Steven's story didn't become the redemption arc viewers hoped for. Instead, it became an example of how self-sabotage can destroy every chance you're given. So here's the takeaway. Change isn't about location, marriage, or TV fame. It's about the choices you make every single day. And for Steven, those choices kept leading him in the wrong direction. If someone refuses to change, can anyone truly save them? Or will they keep falling until they decide for themselves that it's time to stand up? Steven's story isn't just about weight or fame, it's about how self-destruction can outgrow every lifeline until the only person left who can save you is you. Steven Assanti had the tools to change his story, but clung to the comfort of old habits, no matter the cost. So what are your thoughts on this, and do you think anyone could have truly saved him? Or was he always destined to fail? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story impressed you, hit that like button, share it with others, and tell us in the comments what you think about Steven's choices. Thanks for watching.